Hello, welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's live discussion on House of the Dragon, talking about season 3, episode 7, doing it on a different day because of schedule issues. Talking about this episode, which is apparently is called Dragon in Winter, which I was just saying is like a strange title for this. Anyway, as you noticed, Daeron made it look a bit different today because we got a different special guest. So glad that Don Willi could join us for this. Don, thanks so much for joining. Oh, you there? Don?
Wait. Hopefully you can hear me better than I can hear than what's looking on screen right now. Sorry, I don't know what happened with my internet. It's just slowing. It's dragging in winter right now.
All right, and of course, joining us as always, Alyssa. Alyssa, thanks so much for joining.
Oh, glad to be here, even if it's a couple days late. Um, Brushed up on this episode again so that because so late, I want to remember what actually happened in this episode. I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah, I've rewatched it again myself. So Don, let's start with you because this is your first time joining us for season 3. So what's been your quick impressions of season 3 of House of the Dragon? Because I have no idea what you think of it. Maybe you think the whole thing sucks. so yeah, just your quick impressions of what you think of the season so far.
The season so far, it's been a bit of a rocky road for me. It's had some highs and it's definitely had some lows, and this episode is absolutely no exception. Um, Ryan Condor, what are you doing? That's yeah.
Hey, well, it sounds like you're going to bring a different perspective because me and Alyssa are pretty positive on this season so far, but that's all good. Um, we'll start with overall thoughts on the episode. I thought this was a good episode. It's funny. I don't know, Don, if you're going to bring some of this perspective, but I was looking on YouTube and I saw this video that said like I mock and make fun of this stupid episode or something like that. And I was just like, block channel. Like, I'm not interested in that. I thought it was a great episode. And I know I'm familiar with the channel, so he's kind of a book purist. And I know they're going to complain, well, this is different than the books, which I don't necessarily mind if it's different in the book. Sometimes I do if it's like, why did you do this? Or it makes things worse. But I was just rereading Fire and Blood, and they're like very vague about what happens like in between this and the end. So I feel like by necessity, this show is going to have to throw in a lot of extra stuff. So for the most part, I don't have a problem with it. There is one thing, the Rhaenyra thing, which I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where they're going with this. It's not like I think it sucks, but I'm like, where are they taking this? Like, what are they doing? But yeah, other than that, I love the episode. I thought this was a great penultimate episode, a great setup, and it looks like we are actually going to have a finale this season. Otherwise, like season 2, we got the finale this year. But anyway, Alyssa, we'll start with your thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't, I said last week for episode 6 that it's going to kind of depend on what they do in the final 2 episodes and what they're going to do in the finale. I'm kind of in a similar boat with episode 7. I need to see a big payoff next week. The trailer does look promising. I think this episode has grown on me as time has gone by. So maybe it is good that we've doing this discussion a little bit later because I think that I might like it a little more than when I first watched it. I think for me, the Rhaenyra storyline, I was disappointed in what they did because it didn't go as I thought it would. I thought that we were going to really see it set off Rhaenyra and go into maybe a little bit of Mad Queen territory, but it seems like she's just like now treating Rhaenyra the same way she treats Baela, as like, I don't want to see her. Like, so I don't know. So it was maybe a bit, it felt maybe a bit anticlimactic to me at first, but I think I feel a lot better about it now. I think I'm focusing more on some of the scenes that they did. I think I did really actually like with the 4 dragons and all that. I think I did like that. So I think I like this episode a little bit more, and I love the ending. We get 2 big reveals that you and I, Mark, have been talking about in the spoiler section for weeks, and now we can talk about them openly in the spoiler-free section. I kind of, well, maybe next week we'll get Darren's thoughts, because I am just really curious how obvious it was to people who didn't read the book that Ulf was going to betray Rhaenyra, because from my perspective, I feel like that even if I hadn't read the book and didn't know that this was coming, I feel like that there were giant neon signs pointing to Ulf saying, he's going to betray Rhaenyra. Like, I feel like they telegraphed it pretty well. I would be curious to hear Darren's perspective next week, as far as because we talked about it, the 3 of us too, that it seemed like maybe Rhaenyra and Daemon should be nicer to him, but so we finally get that reveal. That was big, and then Aegon at the end. Another thing, like, we had to keep our mouths shut. We knew all along Sunfire was still alive because he very much is in the book. But the show wanted you to think he was dead, which is, the book doesn't do that. It doesn't like try to make you think that he's dead. But they were saving for this big dramatic reveal where Sunfire comes out and burns a bunch of people, and you actually kind of feel good about Aegon, which is weird. Like, it's just weird that the show was making me like kind of root for Aegon. I know it's a little different than what we thought. Mark and I had previously predicted that the Sunfire was going to eat that dude who made Aegon lick his shitty boots, but Aegon ended up killing him himself anyways. But anyways, big ending. I like the ending. I think my one issue with this is I don't need to see Aemond's mommy issues in that great of a detail. That kind of grossed me out. Like, I don't need to see that. I felt that was a bit unnecessary to have that kind of fake out and that scene like that. We'll get into it more as we get into it. I think that's the thing I disliked the most of this episode. And then we're kind of, I think where we're going with that is pretty predictable to me, but this is another off book thing that they're doing. We'll talk about that as we get into it. I think what happens next to me seems pretty predictable. I don't know why we needed to do this. So that's kind of my big gripe with this episode, I think, would be that storyline more than I've kind of made my peace with the Rhaenyra storyline a little bit. So yeah, I think if episode 8 like it sticks the landing, I think that I'll look back at episode 7 as a pretty solid setup episode with just a couple minor gripes.
All right, Don, your thoughts on the episode?
It has been a rocky road.
I gotta correct you for a second. It's been a long road.
No. Oh, no. Oh, God.
Even when it's not a Star Trek video, you still have to do that.
Yeah, it was a bumpy road. For me, it had highs, it had lows. As far as I love the Aegon scenes, because for me, the one thing that I will say about this show is that despite whatever gripes I've had about it, they have done a very good job for the most part as far as balancing out characters and some of their motivations, right? So the Aegon thing I liked because finally he's getting to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, I understand. I'm a bit of a dick, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go out like a punk, right? So, like that about it. The Rhaenyra stuff, I do find myself confused at times at what they had, what her motivations are supposed to be, and this episode was no exception. Daemon still my favorite character, even though it's like there are things that he does that are frustrating, that kind of make no sense, and we'll get to that one, I guess, when we start breaking down the episode, and the whole House Velaryon. Yeah, listen, they need to go the way to the dodo, and there's so many reasons why, unfortunately, and and also screw the high towers, point blank period, and yes, off the white, yes, giant sign with the arrow pointing to him. Yes, that like that was all over everything. So like I wasn't even necessarily shocked.
Yeah, we kept. I think I brought it up in the spoiler section before. It was like, wow, they're being super obvious about like they're just really hammering it home that he's going to be a traitor.
I mean, but honestly speaking, given the way that he's been treated, can you blame him at this point? Like when last season when he first gets the dragon, and Rhaenyra's trying to basically tell him like, okay, hey, cool, you got your dragon, but there, we are lords. You're part of the noble class now. You gotta kind of learn how to conduct yourself. He's like, I got a dragon now, okay? I conduct myself however I damn well please. Now, I want more of those little birds. So, that's just absolutely no, like, he was, they should have killed him as soon as he got the dragon.
All right. It's cool. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. We'll start with Helena's dreams, which open the episode, and I'm sure we're gonna have a lot more to say about these in the spoiler section. You don't really have much to say about them here. With her and the horse, I'm still not entirely sure what they mean, but I got theories that have to do with what comes next. So, yeah, it was interesting because we get the scene with her and Rhaenyra, which was really cool, and Rhaenyra like trying to be like, oh, sister, and trying to warm up to her, but then eventually just drops it and gets all desperate. It's like, tell me what you know, like, and then she like catches herself. I think Rhaenyra, like, she understands what a dreamer is, but I don't think she understands the particulars, because I think that she thinks that Helaena knows exactly what's going to happen, but she just gets weird like imagery and weird visions, and so it's not very precise. And I think when Rhaenyra is like, oh, you just don't want to tell me, I think that Helaena doesn't really know, but she might know more than what she's letting on, because she knows that maybe Rhaenyra is not going to like what she has to say. That could be the case. But yeah, so that was like a cool interaction. And then later in the episode, we get her dream of giving birth. I honestly, the first time I watched this episode, I thought they were showing Rhaenyra's mother dying in childbirth back from season 1, because it looked exactly the same. And I watched a YouTube video and said, "Oh, that's Helaena." I was like, "That's Helaena," and I watched it again and I was like, "Oh, that is Helaena," because I was confused as to why they were showing that scene from season 1. I guess they purposely like went to make it like look the same. And then a vision of her riding a dragon and burning people, a bunch of people alive, and then her with her 2 children, which we know one of them is dead, and she's like in a farm tending chickens, which we've heard her say in a previous episode. "Oh, I love to tend chickens." So I get I think I can say this without getting into spoilers, but it seems to me that these are like alternate futures or like possible futures, and some that will never come to pass because one of her kids is dead. So that future.
I read that as an older version of her unborn child and her current daughter, and saw other videos that also read it that way. Like, so
okay,
this is your future. So like, you couldn't really tell the gender of the kids. I thought the older kid was her daughter, and the younger kid was her unborn son that she would eventually have. And I did see other videos that read it that way as well. So that's how I saw it. So I don't think one of her kids is dead in this scenario. I think this is like the future with her 2 kids. That.
Oh yeah, yeah, I got you.
So what's his name in the book? Maelor, who like wasn't born yet in the show, who presumably is who she's pregnant with. Like, that's how I read it.
I know, and that does make a lot of sense. I actually watched a video that read it that way. That's why I was thinking of it, that it was like, oh, one of her kids are dead, so this can't be true. But yeah, so maybe it is still possible future, but yeah, something weird happens with the night, and it turns all into winter, so it's very ominous. But yeah, we'll start with you, Alyssa, on this one.
Yeah, as far as to get into her dreams, I have a theory about her dreams, but it has to be in the spoiler section because it does specifically have to do with things that have not happened yet. I think, yeah, but I do agree that I think that I will just say, without getting into spoilers, that I do agree that I think it's showing possible alternate futures. And maybe that's a lot of what Helaena sees is alternate futures. And I think that, I don't think that she can really tell Rhaenyra much. I mean, she might be holding back something, but I don't think that, like, she's asking for like specific, like, when is Ormund gonna strike, and like all these specific battle strategies. She doesn't know that shit. Like, that's not. She's like, I don't know. There's a horse, and then it's winter, and there's a dragon. Like, I don't think she really knows. But I'll say again that I really like what they've done with Helaena this season. They've made her into an actual character where I've said this every week, I think, whereas before she was just like, I don't know, kind of this weird, she said all these weird things. I didn't even know that she was like really capable of having a full conversation until like late season 2, because they didn't really use her well. And she's become one of my favorite characters in this season. Also, I love, even though it was just a vision and maybe an alternate future, I do love finally get to seeing Dreamfire. Because it's such a cool looking dragon. Someone else called it blue. To me, it looked purple. I thought it was a purple dragon. I thought it looked really cool. And finally, we hear about this dragon. We hadn't seen it before. So that was a cool scene. We'll get into more of the details of that in the spoiler section. But as far as her and Rhaenyra goes, I think this has become like Rhaenyra's approach of lately. She's trying to be all nice and sweet. And it's just, I mean, nobody's buying it. Like, it's like no one's buying. And Helaena especially can see right through bullshit. And she's like, lady, get the fuck out of my room. I was trying to sleep. Like, she's not into it. But and then eventually Rhaenyra has to just drop the facade and like Mark said, and it's like, tell me what you know. Just it's just not gonna work. But I did like the scene. And we saw it a little bit in the trailer too, so I was kind of looking forward to it because we haven't seen Rhaenyra and Helaena really interact before. So I really like that. I really like what they're doing with Helaena. I think she's one of the highlights of the show this season. And yeah, we'll get more into the dreams once we get to the spoiler section. So that's all I got to say about that.
All right, Don, your thoughts?
You know what? I thought it was cool that they actually showed that because, like I don't think that we've ever gotten inside of someone's dreams in this way. Like when Game of Thrones, you had Bran, and those were visions, from the werewood, but it wasn't something where it was like, okay, here are dreams of possible futures. And even with the stuff at Harrenhal, it's still not dreams of possible futures. So I like this because this is a glimpse, into Helaena that we've never got to see before for anybody, in fact. So the other thing about it, like like Alyssa had mentioned, and also you, Mark, about Rhaenyra waking her up and just kind of being like, oh, tell me, like looking for specific details. And for me, that's kind of comes off like, okay, she's misinterpreting how all of this is supposed to work. Because she's like the only person that they really have to draw on that something was said and it was absolutely 100% accurate was Daenerys. She had the dream about old Valyria blowing up, and that's why Aegon moved the family. But we don't know what the specifics of that dream were, and if the dragon dreams work anyway like how Helena's worked, it could have just been a thing of her waking up, a few nights in a row and just like, hey, I keep on getting this dream and seeing the 14 flames explode and all the dragons being killed, and that might have been the end of it. It may not have been specifically that she saw the Targaryens moving to Dragonstone, and it could have just been a thing of, yeah, I keep on waking up to these dreams of of the 14 flames exploding and all of the dragons dying. And if that's the case, then yeah, Rhaenyra and even Daemon at this point are working off of kind of faulty information of how all of this works. But I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal scene, and this is an example of expanding the lore in a very exciting manner that I think actually heightens the experience.
Cool. All right. So, let's move over to, I guess we'll talk real quick about as Westeros turns. We get the love triangle with Baela and Adam. If there's one thing I didn't like about this episode is this. Because when Baela, we talked last week about Baela and Alan and how it's like wasn't earned and out of nowhere, and a lot of people were like, I thought Adam had a thing for her, and I was like, no, that he was just being friendly. But no, apparently he does have a thing for her, and And it's like when he's like, "Oh, you should make it legitimize us so we could marry a lady," and he's like, "Oh, so your brother told you." What, my brother? And him getting visibly sad because he's obviously talking about himself. Are they gonna fight over her? Like, what are they doing here? Like, I don't. I yeah, this maybe I just thought of it. The one huge complaint about this episode or this season would be this. I mean, and they don't like they barely show these characters. It's as I said, it's like not earned. I will point out that I did like that they was talking in front of a giant pile of dragon shit. Apparently, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But anyway, Don, we'll start with you on this one.
So yeah, listen, I'm gonna just preface this by saying that you know, in the history of human beings, there really isn't such a thing as a straight man that runs around with an attractive woman that doesn't think to himself, maybe I can have her. maybe there might be some way I can have her. So no, there wasn't a thing of he was just being nice just to be nice. That's a myth. It's a lie. Don't believe it, people. But I'm not a big fan of the love triangle thing. It's not fair to these characters that barely gotten any development as it is. It's like, and it kind of makes them all look a little sleazy. Jace just died a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month at most. I could see if this had been like a year or something like that, maybe, but like Jace's body has just been incinerated recently. His ashes have not cooled off. Like seriously, this was, yeah, that was a little much for me. And honestly speaking, I don't know. For some reason, I'm not a big fan of the Valorian boys, or the Hall boys at this point. Wait, does Alan even have a last name, or is he just still Alan? And Adam is the only one that actually has a last name at this point.
I think they're both of Hull. I think it's been established they're both Hull, Alan and Adam of Hull.
Okay,
I think that's. I mean, not really a last name. It's of Hull. Those are their names, but yeah.
Listen, you know what? Ulf didn't have anything before. Ulf had absolutely nothing, and neither did Hugh. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of those two. Like, I know I probably should be because they're pretty stand-up guys, but Adam is just too much. Yeah, sorry, wait. Yes, Adam is too much of a Disney Prince Charming, except he's not actually a prince. And Alan is just, I don't know. It seems like he's doing his best job to be, the good Terminator. Like, okay, T-800. You have been reprogrammed to be a good guy now. Yes, and that is what I'm going to be.
I don't mind them. I will say that Adam, I think, is just underdeveloped. I think we should have seen more of him.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest problem with them is that they're underdeveloped. I don't really, especially Adam. Like, Alan's gotten more to do this season, and I actually like Alan this season. But yeah, Adam is just kind of annoying because they really haven't given him much of a personality or a whole lot to do. So that's mainly my problem with them. They're just underdeveloped characters. But it's funny, Don mentioned Jace. I brought that up last week as well with the scene with Alan and Baela kissing. I was like, but Jason's been dead for like 3 weeks. Like, I mean, moving on quickly. And yeah, now that that's not just Baela, it's like the 3 of them, all of them are like Jace Schmace. Who cares about that? I mean, it's not even, I don't think it's been a month yet. And it's just what? It just makes the whole storyline even dumber than it already is. There's no reason for this. I just hate it when shows do this, that they just have to interject romance or a love triangle just for the sake of it, just because they think, I don't know, they think that gets more views or people will like it, or I don't know what they think. I don't know why shows do this. Star Trek has been guilty of this too many times over the years, these unnecessary romances just to create drama or whatever it is they're trying to do, which it just it doesn't need to be there at all. Yes, I do want these characters to have more to do, but not this. like not this. Yeah, and I too love that they were talking by a giant, pile of dragon shit, because that is appropriate for the scene. That's about what this scene is worth, is a giant pile of shit. So that's how I feel about that. I want these characters to be developed better, but not in this way. They needed to have figured something else out to do with them. Hopefully that'll get better going to season 4. I guess we'll see.
All right, so let's move over to Tumbleton to get the scenes with Ormond. We got like a bit of a Two Towers situation where like, oh, there's a giant army and it's a hopeless situation and there's no way we can win, sort of thing. I kept thinking of Lord of the Rings too, like the way Gwayne came back and like, there's 20,000 coming. This reminds me of like Faramir or Aragorn doing that or something. But the Ormond, of course, is like all chill and we're like, it's fine, don't worry about it. I got a piece on the board. And then Gwayne and Daeron have their own talk, and they're like, yeah, this I'm supposed to be the king, and I'm going to be killed by this madman who's telling us what to do, and he's just like not giving a shit that there was a giant army coming off to kill us all. Gwayne's like, maybe you should fly away on your dragon, and he's like, I don't know, I don't think I'd get far enough because they had 6 dragons. And then you see Ormond with Corlys, having the dinner and like trying to ham it up and like, be all friendly, and Corlys isn't buying any of this bullshit. And he's like, why do you even, hang out with those Targaryen, blah, blah. I know you used to be married to one, but it should be obvious that they would just let her die. And, of course, stands up and like, fuck this shit, I'd rather be myself. And, Ormond's like, oh yeah, one thing before you go, and brandishes a butcher knife. So I watched a video where they're like, oh, maybe that's not Corlys's finger, maybe he cut off. No, that is like, I think this scene is making it very clear that is that he just
and then the trailer for next week he has like a bandage on his hand. So
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. It's definitely his finger.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's all we got with Ormond. We'll get to the old stuff later. But with that stuff, so we'll start with you, Alyssa.
Yeah, and we saw the scene last week on the trailer where he was like, I have a piece on the board, and I think we discussed whether it was Corlys or Ulf, and in the spoiler section, we would have had to be in the spoiler section because it hadn't been revealed yet that Ulf was going to be a traitor, even though I saw in the chat people who hadn't read the books were even saying, yeah, it was obvious. And I thought it was Ulf, and it is. I think the show wanted you to think he was talking about Corlys. It was like a little misdirect, like, oh, he means Corlys, but I don't even know like what he's doing with Corlys. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it is not necessarily my favorite, and I'm still kind of like, again, as a book reader, like this doesn't happen in the books. I'm like, okay, when they first did it, they first showed the scene at the end of the episode where Corlys is kidnapped. I'm like, what? What are they doing? Like this doesn't happen. And I'm still not really sure. But I guess we'll give. I mean, he seems to have some really big wise things to say in next week's episode. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be more clear next week. Ormond just kind of gets on my nerves sometimes. Like his whole snooty, like I'm better than everybody thing that he does, and his thing with Corlys. I did actually like the Corlys was just like, can I go back to my cell now? Like it's like this. I love that he was not like buying into any of this bullshit. Because Ormond did like talk highly of him last week, and I even guessed that maybe Ormond was going to even try to turn Corlys, which he doesn't really. I'm glad he didn't, because I thought that wouldn't have been.
Oh, I got the impression that he was kind of trying to.
Oh, did you? Like he was
trying to butter him up and be like, "Oh no, you're above these Targaryen sort of things." And this Corlys wasn't buying it at all.
Yeah. I don't know if he was actually trying to like turn him to his side or not, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I did appreciate that Corlys was like, "Fuck you, can I go back to my cell?" And then we get the Daeron and Gwayne scenes, and we talked about this last week. I liked that once Gwayne gets here, we kind of get to finally see Daeron's point of view, because I wasn't sure like how he was feeling before. And actually, he didn't. So I want to make a minor correction. His reason for not wanting to ride off with his dragon, he said, "Well, I don't want to be the king who abandons all his people to die." I think he did mention the 6 dragons as well, but also like I don't want to be known as the king who I don't know why he said king. He's not a king, but he's like, I don't want to like abandon all my men to die. So I gotta stay here. So I don't know. I'm thinking. So Daeron does have that dragon as well. His dragon is still young, right? It's still like not like huge, but they do have that already. Now they're gonna have at least another dragon on their side, and this is like the reason why Ormond was all, I have another piece on the board. Ho ho ho. But it's also annoying that he doesn't tell anyone. He doesn't tell his so-called king. He doesn't tell Gwayne, anyone, what his plans are. He just has to be all smug about it. Oh, I have a piece on the board. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about this part of it. We'll get into the Ulf stuff at the end. That was really the most interesting part to me about the Ormond things. We're just, and it's interesting you use the phrase piece on the board, because this is like putting the chess pieces on the board in place for the big battle that we're going to get next week. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Don, your thoughts?
Well, firstly, I must because I cannot deal with any foul odors. Secondly, I do not know what this game you call chess, milady. I play Cyros, okay? And I am putting my dragons on the board. No, but seriously though, right? Ormond is just like, I'm above all of you. I owe no one an explanation for anything that I'm doing. There's a reason why I'm the Lord of the High Tower, and I made you king, and you, Gwayne. Gwayne. Yeah, listen, Ormond is just a pompous asshole, and the actor who plays him plays jerk-off aristocrat very well. But, Corlys, again, even though he came from a noble family, like he said, back during season 1, I built I built my house off of the strength of my own back. And so for him, he's looking at this other guy, and yes, we might be part of the same noble class, but you got everything handed to you, and I had to still go out and get mine. I made my name. You were given your name. And so for him, he's just looking at this guy who's talking all of this smack, and just like, yeah, listen, man, we might be a part of the same social class, but that doesn't make us the same. Don't sit here and try to talk to me as if you know what it's like to be out there. Like, you don't know anything about what we're about to get into right now. So, yeah, you go ahead and you do all of this from your high tower. Okay? I lost high tide. You have nothing to offer that I want. And even your food sucks. So can I go back to myself now? So I like that interaction. Again, I like Ormond. Again, he's talking about all the different pieces on the board because, like Kristen Cole said, you have these high lords who are looking at this as a game. As long as I don't die, I'll bend the knee later, or fine, you send me to the Night's Watch or whatever may have you. But, I'm planning to win. And when I do, oh man, I'm pretty much the king in all but name. Because who do you have to thank for, this little brown-haired boy who is his hair actually brown or has it been dyed? Yeah, but who do you have to thank for your new king but I? Okay, the realm owes me a debt of gratitude because I gave you the stability that you all needed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So let's move over to the small council meeting, which I enjoyed. It's started with Manderley being like, "Oh, those everyone's blaming me for the money worries and the blah, and even people are putting like shit on my door and stuff." And Rhaenyra's just like, yeah, so what do you want me to do about it? And he's just like, forgive me, my queen, but you've been telling people, you've been blaming everything on me. It's as if I'm here as some kind of scapegoat. And I love how they cut to Mysaria almost like choke on her wine because that's exactly what he is. And they're like, I say we should do attacks, but nobody's listened to me. And then at the same time, you had I wonder what the point of this Frey woman is. At the time, you have her like being like, oh, I should have Harrenhal, blah, blah, blah. And eventually Rhaenyra's like, fine, take it. Go there. Take Harrenhal. Get out of here. Take your men and go ahead and take it. She's like, oh, yes, my lady. And my queen. And goes and leaves, which is all very funny. But this is, I think, another example of showing that Rhaenyra is losing her grip on what's going on. She was very sort of disheveled and is overwhelmed and not sure what to do. She's just asking, is there any news on Harrenhal? Is there any news on Daemon? Like, where is Daemon? What's going on? And everyone's like, they're like, I think Alan's like, oh, but the Riverlands army and the Winterwolves, they're like a day away from Doubleton, so that is going to be settled soon. So at least they know that much. And then you have, believe we follow into Mysaria speaking ill of, because Baela and Adam show up and said they spotted sheep stealer, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, I thought Chief Steele's writer was dead. And you got Mysaria being like, well, do you really believe Damon? And Rhaenyra's is like, well, I know Damon has lied before, and she's like, I like how she like grabs Rhaenyra and it's like, he's done a lot more than lied, but she kind of, pauses and takes it back and is like, and starts to go like, my queen, like, listen to me. And we'll get to what follows later, but just want to, pause on this at the moment. So Don, we'll start with you.
Well, firstly, you know, House Manderly got kicked out of the Reach, went to the North, and now the one Manderly that's in the South is getting blamed for the money troubles. And I'm gonna say that it's because he's American, all right? Because you notice they didn't do it to any of the Brits. It's just hating on America once more, which is why they did this to Torrin Manderly, and I will not have it. Okay, I will not have you besmirch that man's name just because he's American. All right, I don't like it. All right, and as far as Harrenhal, y'all gonna keep that ruin of a castle. All right, don't nobody like the phrase anyway. So let them have Harrenhal, but the way Lady Misery, Mysaria, the White Worm, the way she went about doing that, she setting up the American for failure. I don't like that. Okay. But Rhaenyra was just kind of like, listen, as long as they're not coming and blaming me for it, have at it. Whatever needs to happen. Okay, as long as I'm not the one who's getting yelled at about it. But then when Adam and Baela show up, remember, Baela was talking about how Rhaenyra didn't want to see her at all. It's like, she keeps on sending me off on all these faraway missions. I feel like I've been demoted, and yes, it's true. Yes, you have been demoted. Okay. You conspired with her idiot son that got himself killed, all right? But you can definitely see Rhaenyra's descent into paranoia, given all that she's been through, and I understand. I mean, setting a Torrin like that was foul, but like he said, hey, I proposed a tax. That was the first thing I did. Nobody wanted to agree with me on that one. And now here we are, and y'all sitting here blaming me about the money when I came in and y'all were broke. Okay? I come from a noble family. I come from one of the richest families in the North. Come down here and I'm broke. All right? And somehow I get blamed for being broke in a city that was broke when I got here. So, we need to bring our boy Torrin home, back to the States, because they did it wrong. They did it wrong. Oh, wait, and real quick, Mysaria, you dead wrong. You were absolutely 100% dead wrong, because she was right about Damon, but don't like, you're sitting there talking as if you're not conspiring behind Rhaenyra's back as well. But then again, she's spy master. She's doing her job, saving her own ass. But damn it, Rhaenyra has all the right in the world to be distrustful of the people in her court, because, honestly speaking, they can't be trusted.
Yeah, this small council this season, I think, is no more functional than the small council she had last season, but they are a lot more entertaining to watch. I enjoy these characters a lot more than those like stuffy old white men who were just like, "Oh, you're just a girl, you don't know what you're doing." Like those guys. I was so glad that when she was like, "Yeah, bye, you guys stay here, I fuck you all," and she's like, "I'm not bringing those fucking old men with me," even though those are the guys in the book who are in the small council when she takes King's Landing. I'm glad that they left those guys behind. And this small council for just television purposes has been way more entertaining, but it's not any more helpful or any more functional than her previous small council. Like it's just, and I don't even really think Rhaenyra knows how to run a small council, and she's got no help from her hand. As Mark has mentioned many times, Corlys was useless when he was there. Like, I defer to the queen, and then he, put his son in there, who like I think is doing as well as he could. He's giving good advice, but he's like he doesn't have any experience being the hand. So she has just. This is just small council becomes more and more dysfunctional every week, and I do enjoy Manderley being like, it's as if I'm some kind of scapegoat, and like they push him Mysaria like choking on her wine. It's just entertaining, and yeah, I've said this from the beginning when they brought the Frey lady in. Like, what is her job? What is she? The master of what? The master of begging for Harrenhal? Like, she's not the master of it. What is she? Like, what is even her role? But her and Manderley's interactions these last few episodes have been entertaining, and all she does is like, when am I getting Harrenhal? Rhaenyra's finally, you know what? Just go, just take it, just go. I don't know if they'll fit it in next episode or if it'll happen at the beginning of season 4, but I'm looking forward to the phrase showing up to Harrenhal and Alice Rivers like coming out of nowhere with all her weird owls and animals, and Aemond come up and killing them, and like doing her bats, like doing her weird haunted house thing and like killing all the Freys. Like I don't know when they'll get to that, but maybe it'll be like the opening scene of season 4. I don't know. But yeah, I do enjoy the small council scenes, even though from an in-universe perspective, it's not a very effective small council. And then yes, we have Mysaria. I assume we're going to talk more about Mysaria and
yes,
yeah. So yeah, and Don is right. She absolutely was also not being totally honest with Rhaenyra and also looking out for herself as well. But that's not the point. The point is to make Rhaenyra believe that she's the one who's on her side and not Daemon. The two of them have been going back and forth all season long. And Mysaria has been better at convincing Rhaenyra. And she's just more manipulative than Daemon is. Is kind of what she's good at. So, and we'll talk later. The ultimate manipulation is going to happen a little bit later in this episode. But yeah, it's all about what's best for Mysaria. But she's convincing Rhaenyra that it's that she's all about what's best for her and what's best for the kingdom. And I think maybe last season in the beginning when Mysaria was first brought in, maybe that was the case, but it certainly isn't now. And as we'll see later in the episode, Rhaenyra is still like under her spell, unfortunately for her. So yeah, the whole small council is just a big cluster, but it's entertaining. I do enjoy watching it on screen.
All right. So let's move over to Aemond and Alicent, and I will echo what Alyssa said: is that we don't need to see a sex scene with Aemond and Alicent, even if it's not really Alicent. It's like when I saw it, I'm like, oh god! Like, but I guess they're getting into the mommy issues that Aemond has, which they've been, establishing for earlier season. It all comes down to the fact that Alicent was a terrible mother, because she didn't really want to be a mother, and she was kind of forced to by her father at such a young age. And it's very clear that had stunted her children all in different ways. Aemond is the most disturbing way of being. And it was funny when Alice later on was like, "Oh, you Targaryen boys are all alike," so like referencing like Daemon also having a dream of having sex with his mother. Like, what? Yeah, why is this a motif in this? But anyway, it was interesting. I mean, I kind of do like it was a fake out, and it was actually Alice. So I don't know if it was the show saying that it was Alice purposely doing that and fucking with him and using her magic, or if I don't know. But then the real Alicent happens to show up, and the whole time Aemond's like touching her, is like, "You're real, right?" And then Alicent says the same thing that the fake Alicent said of, "Oh, you're all I have left," and I think that's when he was like freaking out. I was like, "Is this real or not?" And then the dude that went with Alicent, was that the same dude we've been seeing as Rhaenyra's main Queen's Guard? It was? Okay. Yeah, and so, but he's gone. Like, these Queen's Guards just die like flies. And it's funny because he was the one like sent to kill Aemond, and Aemond immediately, not even knowing this, just thinking he was a normal dude that helped her, was like, "Nah, fuck this, no one else can know this." And I like how after he killed him, he's just like, "Sorry." To Alicent. Sorry. But anyway, and so there was definitely this, meet the parents dynamic with Alice and Alicent, and Alicent's is like, "Who is this person? Why are you with her?" And Alice is sort of trying to get rid of it. It's like, "Look, we have plans, and our plans do not involve your mother." And I like, Aemond's like, "There it is. You're just jealous. You just don't want her here because you're jealous or whatever." But Alice lays out in uncertain terms, like, "Look, she's here to do you evil." And so I wonder, like, just how much she knew exactly. I think she said there's a cloud or something around her, so I think she could just sense that something was off with her. And then, of course, later, Alicent does her own, "Oh, my boy," whatever, and gives him the wine, which obviously is poison. And I gotta be honest, I did think it was kind of funny how Aemond showed up to Alice and was like, dying from poison. It's like Alicent collapsed, and she's just like, "Idiot." like she knew that Alicent was gonna try to kill her. I think it's implying that Alice, though by her nonchalant reaction, that she'll be able to save him. But anyway, Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I didn't need to see all that. I'll be honest with you. So I actually have a confession to make. The first time I watched it, like as soon as they started having sex, like I just fast forwarded through it, and I landed on like when they held Kristen Cole's head. So I missed the whole thing that it was fake, but I didn't also see how far it went. I just saw when they were first starting to go at it. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I thought that Alicent was pretending again, like she did. But then when I did actually see the scene, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that's I'm glad I fast forwarded through it the first time. Now I can't unsee it now that I've actually watched the scene all the way through. And as far as whether or not Alice was causing it, I actually watched a breakdown video on YouTube where someone pointed out that the way that Alice reacted, I forget her exact words, but she seemed genuinely surprised by Aemond's reaction. So and that person was pointing out it looks like for sure that she didn't cause it because she seemed surprised by it. And when I can't remember her exact words now, but when I watched that scene again through this YouTube video, I was like, yeah, that's kind of where I land too. I don't think she caused it. I think it's just the ghost of Harrenhal or whatever it is that cause visions. It's really, I mean, I think that it is some sort of outside force, because part of me is like, is he like a dreamer kind of too? But I think it's the ghost of Harrenhal or whatever, because like he knew exactly what Alicent was wearing, and she says the same exact line that she said in the vision. So that was a little eerily close to reality. But I don't think he's a dreamer or whatever. I think it's the same thing. Whatever mysterious forces in Harrenhal that were affecting Daemon are also affecting him. But it was a little eerie. Yeah, and I don't know. I did actually kind of enjoy the meet the parents scenes, because I was surprised that it took Alicent so long to be like, so who is this person again? Like, wait, who is this? Like, because there was never any introductions. It was just like this woman is just there all of a sudden, and Alicent was like, who is this exactly? Yeah, in the end, she poisons him. I think she believes he's dead. So I think that this is what I think is going to happen. To me, that's what I said. I think it's pretty predictable that she's going to go back and tell Rhaenyra that the deed is done. Rhaenyra will soon get word that Aemond is still alive, and then think that Alicent is deliberately deceiving her, which she isn't. And get really angry at Alicent and lock her up and all this stuff. Like, that's what I think is going to happen. So it just kind of makes me wonder what the whole point of it was, other than, like, as Mark said earlier, like, there's a lot of space to fill in from what happens in the book, so we just need stuff for people to do. And so, like, I guess that's the point of this this scene. I think that Aemond is I do believe that he will be saved by Alice, because she was like idiot. And I do genuinely believe he's going to now have been fully turned against his mother. He is now not going to trust her. I could be wrong, but I think that he's not going to trust her anymore. Whether that leads to anything in particular, probably more of a season 4 thing. I don't think you're going to have time to squeeze that in the Battle of Templeton next week. So I do think that he's not going to trust his mother anymore. What becomes of that, I don't know. I still kind of feel like this was just the whole point of this was to give Alicent something to do. And I think it was, the whole sex scene was a little bit over the top, a little bit like gratuitous for my taste. But yeah, that's how I feel about
that. Well, as far as, all right, so number one, I talked about things that were downs for me. This is that Ryan Condal, what are you doing kind of thing for the episode for me. Because, for one, the plan sending Alicent to even go and kill Aemond, that already had me like, oh, okay. Where's the Fonzie with the jet ski? And I feel like there's a shark that he's supposed to be jumping over in the middle of the God's Eye or something like that. Because this was definitely a jump the shark moment, right? At least for me. Look, the sex scene, I immediately, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, this is him either having some sort of hallucination or Alice is playing a trick on him. We obviously know it's not Alice playing a trick on him now. So, like, hasn't anyone learned? Harrenhal just isn't the place where you want to be. Too many tragic accidents, people having weird visions in their sleep, or don't even know if they're awake or asleep. Black goats, green men, all kinds of wild shit going on in Harrenhal, and yet somehow people decide this is the castle they want to live in. It's a ruin. It's a ruin and a spooky. All right. But yeah, Aemond with the whole line of unsullied kings, and Alice talking about, oh well, yeah, your mother wasn't part of the plans. I'm like, when did this become a CW show? When? Okay, and not even a good CW show, and that's the problem. Like things like this, like I understand you have to make up things because there are parts in the book which we don't have any explanation for certain things, right? It's just like, all right, well, this person was in this location for this amount of time, and we don't have any information on what they were doing while they were there. So, like, I get that, there is a necessity to add content. But you wrote this down. You read it, you reread it, you had other people read it, it got approved. You got to the day of shooting, the director looked at the script, looked at you. Okay, I guess we're filming this. And at no point did anyone say, this makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. And then, yeah, Queen's Guards dropping like flies. You said, because here's the other thing for me, right? Harrenhal is not just, that's not like a day or two's ride from King's Landing. Harrenhal, if I'm not mistaken, is probably hundreds of miles, right? You're talking about a couple of weeks at minimum. And you sent Alicent with one man. I'm sorry, Aemond is, I understand he's only supposed to be 16 in the show, maybe 18 at most by now. But he's also been shown to be quite a military mind, and I understand, he's whipped right now. Alice to put the thing on him, and he's not thinking straight. But yeah, Ma, how did you get here with just one night? And especially when Rhaenyra's forces should have been looking for you to stop you from fleeing King's Landing to begin with. And on top of that, we're in the middle of a war in a bunch of disputed land. And yet somehow you, with only one household knight, was able to get from King's Landing to Harrenhal unmolested, undisturbed, and unharmed. I'm sorry. This for me is a Littlefinger's jetpack kind of thing going on, and yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing good I can say about this entire Harrenhal sequence.
Well, after Game of Thrones season 8, when they go from the Wall to King's Landing as if it's around the corner, and they get there in like an hour, nothing phases me anymore. But you are right. I do agree with you. But also, like, I'm kind of just, I guess, numbed to it now at the game, because Game of Thrones did that so often that I kind of don't even notice it. But you are correct. You're right. It wouldn't make sense for them to get there.
Well, so to be fair, the show does kind of acknowledge this when I think it's Alice says, "Oh, the road is long, or it must have been a long and perilous journey for you to get here." So they do mention it, and um, my problem with Game of Thrones was the fact that because people often point out to season one, and when people complain about later seasons and the jetpack, and be like, "Oh, but they went from Winterfell to the Riverlands to King's Landing quite quickly." But the thing is that can be explained away that all this time passed off screen. Whereas in Game of Thrones, you had some storylines like the Hound and Arya last stuck in the Riverlands, taking them years to travel from the Riverlands to the thing. While at the same time, you got Theon going like from the north to the Iron Islands over to Volantis in the same amount of time. And so it's like it's the timing being inconsistent that really bothered me. This one doesn't really bother me that much, because I think they are saying that a couple of weeks passed because it's taking that long for the Riverlands army to get to Tumbleton anyway.
Well, if I may interject, okay, the one big difference between Theon, and Arya and Hound is Theon is a sailor. You think he didn't have a compass on him? Whereas, Arya.
I'm sorry, they sailed to Westeros to Volantis. That takes months to do. I mean, if even that, more than months.
Well, no.
And Littlefinger traveled from King's Landing to the Vale to Winterfell in the time it took Arya and
I'm sorry, but he didn't have a jetpack, he had a teleporter.
Yeah.
And also, to me, the worst was season 8 when they went from the shark was already long jumped, and we were like, oh, we're in the wall last episode, and now we're in King's Landing. That was like, okay, they just don't even care anymore at this point.
Yeah, well, but remember though, you're talking about the Hound who's probably illiterate, right? What does he know about navigation? And Arya's 10.
All right, I think this conversation has jumped the shark.
Yeah.
I think we gotta get back to House of the Dragon.
The point is, I didn't really have an issue with that, and it's your whole thing about how the scene was bad, how terrible, and they jumped the shark. I gotta humbly disagree. Like I've said before, this is Aemond stuff has been my least favorite. Like whenever they cut back to him, like okay, here we go. But I didn't hate it that much, and I do think it makes sense for his character. I think as a character arc, the way to describe him having mommy issues because Alicent was a terrible mother, and so he allows himself to be deceived by her. I believe it as a character story. Do I think we needed to see a fake sex scene between them? No, absolutely not. We did not need to see it. But the character story does make sense, in my opinion. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Rhaena and Sheepstealer. Another drastic change from the book. I like this. I like this a little better. I like how we see Daemon go up to the Vale, because they kind of didn't really explain this because it happened off screen, but apparently Rhaena had been sighted in the Riverlands because she's looking for Vhagar, and Daemon must have heard about it and went to the Vale. It's like, what the fuck? Why are you letting her roam around? And she's just like, imprisoning a dragon rider is not really an easy thing to do. Like, you want to do that? Go ahead. So she tells him where he might find Rhaena, so he goes and finds her. I like how it's interesting. I like how it gets corrects. It's to sort of like knock Sheepstealer down, sort of get them to land. And I love this whole scene. I actually really love, because I love the dragons, seeing the dragons sort of behave and how they're like animals and how you can't really control them, and how when there's a hostile like invader in their territory that they don't really sit right, and how Sheep Stiller Rhaena at first was like, to her father, like, don't come near. I can't really control him. And Sheep still is like starting to fire up, and Daemon had to like duck, and then Caraxes comes and also tries to fire up and then he has to hold him back. And how it's like a very chaotic scene, like they're trying to have this conversation. You hear these dragons like freaking out in the background. I loved that. I think that was great. And then I also love how Daemon was trying to get Rhaenyra's like, when Rhaenyra was like, I need to make up for Jace, so I need to kill Vhagar, and he's like, you're not gonna do that alone, so I'll come with you. I like that. I kind of wish that they just did that, like just had them go off together. But I like this sort of fatherly relationship. He even explains like to Rhaenyra later that I was never there for her. Like here he tries to reason. It's like, look, I know what it's like to not have a dragon. And he's like, I should have been a better father to you. So I think that was all really good stuff. And then, of course, Adam and Rhaenyra show up and not really understanding what's going on. Daemon tells Rhaena to run away, but then Adam catches her. And I like how Rhaenyra is just like ready to go on Daemon, because it's like all the poison that Mysaria was putting in her ear about him was like confirmed. And it's like, you've been lying to me, you've been deceiving me. She's like, answer carefully. But then when Rhaena is brought back, she kind of understands more. And Daemon's just like, look, she was my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And Rhaena kind of just gets on her knees and puts herself at Rhaenyra's mercy. But Sheep still ain't okay with that. And so when they take Rhaena away, Sheep Stiller like goes on the attack. And this was like a vicious attack on Sheep Stiller and Syrax. And I was like worried about Syrax. It's like, are they gonna fucking kill I do wonder like how injured Syrax is, because he was like really like chomping into her, and it became like, and again, was it 5 dragons were there like in the corner, like the people didn't really have that much control. They were just like going at it. And then Sea Smokes gets in, and you see I actually I love the way that they played the dragons and the scene, but they eventually fly away. And Daemon gets on Caraxes and attacks Sheep Stiller, and I felt really bad for Sheep Stiller as my username. And I was like, oh no, don't. Sheep Stiller was just a wild dragon chilling, and then some weird girl comes by and takes him over, and now he's getting attacked by everyone. He was just minding his own business. And I was like, oh, poor Sheep Stiller. Sheep Stiller wasn't dead when he left, so could see him again possibly. I really have no idea what they're gonna do with this storyline, but anyway, we'll get to the aftermath later, so let's just on this. Don, we'll start with you.
So this was a scene that I liked for the most part. Daemon going into Harrenhal and kind of getting that the Rhaenyra.
Eerie?
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Harrenhal has my mind infected right now.
Yeah.
So, him going to the Eyrie, and like they were really trying to show off the moon door, so kind of let people know, hey, it's a dangerous place we're in, and Lady Jane Eyre runs it. It's funny to see Daemon be humbled in the way that he is, because you know what, she had a really good point. Like, look, your daughter is out here running these streets with her damn dragon, passing back and forth to places where she shouldn't be going. And listen, sooner or later, your wife, the queen, is going to, ask questions that if I tell her if I give her the wrong answer, I'm going out my own moon door. All right, so now I'm good. He's just like, hey. I get it, right? She fucked up. I fucked up. This is all fucked up. But let me try to fix the situation as much as I possibly can. No one wants to go out the moon door. All right. I saw you with your little boo thing there. All right. I'm sure you wanna have fun after this. So now I want you to be alive to have that fun. Okay. So I'm gonna go find my daughter. We're gonna handle this. You go back to your girlfriend, and everything be fine, right? But the one thing that got me about the situation was when Rhaenyra and Adam showed up. I'm like, you told her to run on foot. The girl is malnourished. You can tell she Sheep Stealer probably hasn't fed her in about a week because he's been too busy eating. Like, she looks worse for wear, and you run on foot. What if they just decided, you know what? Oh, Dracarys, because they're in the sky. Like, yeah, she may not have been able to get away, maybe not. But there was a way better chance of her getting away on the dragon than on foot. But I did love the interaction once everybody, got back together and was like, we're trying to figure out things. Rhaenyra now is all pissed off, which ideally, Daemon, you lied to me, and then to come to find out, like, holy shit. All right, this situation has gotten a lot more complicated than expected because, I wasn't expecting for the person who was partially responsible for the death of my son to be your daughter. Like, whatever. But here's the other thing, though, because Rhaenyra should have been pissed off with the fact that, like, she was supposed to be the escort for Aegon and Viserys. So it's like, wait, you dipped off on your little brothers. Where are they? No one's mentioned those kids at all. Just like they forgot about them.
They forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Yeah, essentially.
Like Danny forgot about the Iron Fleet. They forgot about Aegon and Viserys.
Yeah, so this is gonna, like I said, I love the sequence, and the funny thing is, I was watching a video earlier today, where they were talking about the sound design for each of the dragons and all of the different personalities that they're supposed to have, right? And so I didn't hear the one for Sheep Stealer, but the one for Caraxes is supposed to be he's a white boy that thinks he can rap. I'm like, I mean, that kind of, you know what? That kind of tracks for Daemon. I don't know if it tracks for his dragon though. I don't get that feeling out of Caraxes, but okay. I mean, I do like how they show the interaction with the dragons, and also this is another way to show that, yeah, you know what? We humans don't have the control over the dragons that we think we do, because when it came down to it, all four of them almost got their asses killed, stepping in between those dragons. And the fact that Caraxes didn't wind up finishing off Sheep Stealer after that was the command he was given by Daemon, and he was just like, you know what, I'm good, man. He's hurt, I'm hurt. Cyrax is hurt. I don't know if Steve Smoke is hurt, but I ain't got time for this, man. But listen, we going back home and we gonna eat good because this one obviously ain't going anywhere. Sheep stealer might not even get the chance to steal any more sheep. He's done for. Damon, we done? We're done. Come on, let's go. So that was definitely a case where the dragons had way more control than the writers did, and I like that. I like that. Like I let you think you're in control. Just because you say things and I do them, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. We've developed a bond, but make no mistake about it.
Well, it also shows how protective they were of the writers, because Sheep Stealers, that's when they started freaking out when they were taking Rhaenyra away. And then the other dragons freaked out when the Sheep Stealer was approaching their own writers. They're like, oh no, fuck that. You're not getting by near my writer. So that's when all hell broke loose.
There was a lot to like about this scene. It just, but yeah, like when I thought about the whole thing with why Rhaenyra should be upset with Rhaena, like, yeah, listen, you know what? The whole thing with Jace, cool, but where are your little brothers? You were supposed to be with them. Why are you here? And you killed my son, or somehow partially responsible. Oh no, we have yes. Get your ass on the back of this dragon. Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah, I think I read it as the dragons were also like picking up on the tension of, like, I think they were already getting tense, like because they're bonded to their writers, so they were picking up on that tension. And yeah, I think once Sheep Stealer, you got protected Rhaena and the yeah, just tensions really built up from there. I thought it was a really well done scene as well. I really enjoyed this scene. But I want to backtrack because I got a comment on Lady Jane, and then I'll get back to this scene again. I love how she just has her girlfriend up on the throne with her, like she's not even trying to hide it. Like I had heard, I thought before it was just like, oh, they say she prefers the company of ladies, but she doesn't even try. She's such a boss bitch. She's just like, you got a problem with my girlfriend? You go through the fucking moon door. Like she's like, just like has her girlfriend up on the throne with her. I love that. And neither of you have mentioned, I don't know if you caught this, but I caught it where she goes, oh, Rhaena is just amongst the sheep and the nettles. And I'm like, see what?
Yeah, I noticed that. That kind of annoyed me a bit. It was like, oh, you get it?
No, but see, the thing is, I don't mind it because compared to, remember what I said last week that I had heard, I think from another YouTube video, I had heard this theory that they were going to maybe have Rhaena, because she lives amongst the nettles, actually take on the alias of Nettles, and therefore just make her just straight up turn into Nettles, which I thought would have been dumb. Like you can give a book character, give their story to a show character, fine. But I think like actually making that show character go by that name would have been too much. So I had that in mind. So in comparison to that, I actually liked this. Like I liked that it was just more of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge than a my name is Nettles now. That would have been too much for me. But like just this, she lives in the Nettles. But it's subtle though, because if you don't know about Nettles, if you're not a book reader and you haven't been following YouTube videos that explain it to you, that line is way over your head. So it's like a little nudge to the book readers. So I didn't mind it. But now getting back to the dragon scene. So first you have Daemon approaching Rhaena and saying, yeah, let's go together and find Vhagar. And as you said, Mark, they could have just done that. And I kind of thought that they would, because I think if you have now a storyline with Daemon and Rhaenyra off together trying to find Vhagar, that's a little closer approximation to what happens in the book. So I kind of thought that that's what they were going to go. But this is what I was talking about, where I was like, I wasn't sure how I felt about this. But in retrospect, I like it a lot more. I really do like this scene a lot. I like the tension with the dragons, and how they set each other off. And I like the visuals of it. I like how it was done. So I do. We'll get into the aftermath of it later, but yeah, we've been talking about this for a while, so I don't want to add much more to it, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's get into the aftermath of when I like it. We see Rhaenyra and Adam flying back, and Rhaenyra, they get in the dragon pits, and Rhaenyra is just like, "Yeah, find her a room. I don't want to see her again." So it's not like it seems like she would have a lot of questions, and she would want to know exactly what the hell happened, but she doesn't. She's just kind of disgusted with her. And then we get this sort of confrontation with her and Daemon. I thought it was interesting how she told her her maid to stay. And I was like, no, I don't give it, just stay. Well, they had that. And it did seem like she was a little bit understanding of, because he was being very gentle with her and very like not trying to be a dick about it and be like, look, it's my daughter. It's one I neglected. I wasn't working. I might have lied to you, but I wasn't like working against you. But then again, she still had that skull. She's like, I had this skull. I've been looking at it this whole time, thinking that it was my son's murderer. It turns out it's just some random guy. And how she would feel about that. And that's understandable. And you can really see in the scene of her like kind of falling apart, and like, because everything that she thought, like the person she thought she could trust the most, apparently was deceiving her, even if it was like for good reason and she understands the reason. It's still like sort of throwing her worldview into chaos, and how he tries to reach out to her and she turns away and it's just like, yeah, I can't really deal with you right now. But I also love we see Baela go to Rhaenyra, where Rhaenyra is like just apologizing. It's like, I need to pay penance and I'm so sorry. But Baela just is like, no, it's okay, and hugs her, because what Rhaenyra doesn't understand is that Baela feels equal guilt over Jace's death. She also feels responsible. So she kind of understands what Rhaenyra is going for. And I guess they kind of knew that she just maybe just figured out, or they just told it off screen, that that Rhaenyra didn't mean to cause harm, just didn't have control over Sheepstealer. I don't know if we needed that in dialogue specifically. I think that's implied that they figured that out. But yeah, that was, I liked that change, like that, because I wasn't expecting that either. The Baela to just totally warm up to her sister and be like, look, it's just glad to have you home. And yeah, Baela already knows what it's like for Rhaenyra to be pissed off with her and on the outset there. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting dynamic, and it's sort of throwing Rhaenyra's like closest allies, closest friends, and their relationships into chaos. Yeah. So Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I really like the Baela and Rhaenyra scene too, and it makes sense. Like I'm not totally surprised by that, because Baela has just been talking, like, that's pretty much, other than like flirting with and kissing the of whole brothers. She's the only thing she's really said this season is Rhaenyra doesn't even want to see me. So it really does make sense that they, would have that bond, that she's like, no, I feel really guilty about this too. So I thought it was a really sweet scene. I want to talk about Rhaena a little bit in the spoiler section. I feel there. I don't. I think that they might have her now. I don't know what happened to Sheep Stealer, so I could be wrong. She could reunite with Sheep Stealer, but I wonder if they are not going to now get her back on track for what she does in the books from this point forward. So, which will be more of a spoilery discussion. That's kind of my feeling, but I don't know. They also like we don't. I feel like Sheep Stealer wasn't really dead, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. Yeah, and as for Rhaenyra and Daemon, I mean, part of me was like wondering, like, I know that Rhaena said no, I don't want to go back with you. I don't want to tell her. Would it have been like a bad idea for Daemon to just straight up tell her, look, it was Rhaena? Because in the end, like, she doesn't really, she's not trying to kill Rhaena or anything. I kind of thought maybe she might. I thought she might be Mad Queen enough to just be that angry and want to kill Rhaena, but that's not where they went with it. So Daemon could have just told her instead of, killing some innocent dude and bringing back the skull. And I think Rhaenyra even acknowledges in this episode, if I recall, that I understand why he did it. I understand, like, he's trying to protect his daughter. I think maybe she says this to Mysaria, something like this. I understand he was trying to protect his daughter, but the skull, like, it was like she feels really deceived, like, so she's kind of conflicted that, like, okay, I get why you did it, but it's still fucked up, kind of thing. And I'm assuming we're saving the Mysaria thing for the next discussion, but yeah, so that kind of leads into Mysaria being able to manipulate Rhaenyra again. But yeah, so yeah, I'm really curious to see now how they're going to play Daemon and Rhaenyra, because it is different from the book. I thought maybe Daemon would just go off with Rhaena and try to find Vhagar, but I guess I should have known better because we see Daemon in the trailer at the Battle of Tumbleton, so I should have known that they weren't going to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see how they're going to play Daemon's and Rhaenyra's kind of dynamic and relationship moving forward from here. Yeah, Don.
So all of this is, also very interesting to me because this is way different than in the book, obviously. I didn't have any issue with it. I see what they've been doing with the whole Rhaena Meadows thing. And listen, let's be honest. Like, the way that Daemon has neglected her, the show had neglected her before the whole Sheep Stealer thing. Right? So now she finally has something to do. And, I'm wondering what they're going to do as far as seeing the sisters reconcile going forth. Hopefully they give Baela something to do because she hasn't had much to do either this season, other than, oh, you were the catalyst for your fiance's death, partially. Yeah. So this is just interesting to see how all this is going to play out. And is Rhaenyra going to have a talk with either one or both of them at some point about just how much of a mess all of this has become? I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I just it's. I mean, this whole situation is the cluster of all fucks. Like there's not, like, there aren't too many worse things that can happen with this situation. So I'm just hoping that that at some point, they give all of these characters some sort of respite from it, because it's just like, oh, tragedy, 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 and did I mention tragedy? Because would you like some tragedy with your tragedy? I mean, that's what it seems like that, especially these three characters are going through at this particular moment in time. So between Baela, Rhaenyra, and Daenerys 1.0, yeah, it's really hard to it's hard to see all of them go through this, So I want to see what is going to be the ultimate outcome. Is is Rhaenyra going to forgive these two girls who were trying their best to do the right thing for her, even, right? Or is it just going to be a thing of, you know what, I feel screwed over by everybody at this point, so, yeah, you guys have got to feel my wrath, because I'm just tired of everybody's shit coming down on me. And then how do these two move forward? Because like Rhaenyra said, she was like, "Yo, you were gonna be queen. That ain't the thing anymore, at all." I mean, don't mind you, yes, Baela seemed to have moved on way quicker than she should have, but there's a lot of opportunity that has been lost by the things that have transpired with the situation, and so how do they all live with it? How do they reconcile with each other? How do they forgive themselves? Because you can tell, especially with Rhaenyra, like she is devastated by all of this, and she blames herself for it. And yeah, it's hard when you have done something and all you feel is guilt, and you can't even forgive yourself for something that you did by accident. You know, so yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how all of that goes.
All right, cool. So let us move over to Mysaria. We get a scene with her, and I can't remember her name. Pretty sure it was the prostitute that was with Aemond in season 1. Yeah, can't remember her name.
Was her name
Sylvie?
Yeah,
Is that
Sylvie.
it?
I think it's Sylvie. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting. She brings her to the throne room because she can sense that Rhaenyra, like, refusing to take positions is going to be a continuous situation, and it's a bad idea. Like, she even agrees that it's a bad idea, and so she's trying to reach out to Sylvie and be like, look, maybe they can come to me, and then I can go to Rhaenyra, and that can keep concerns. And I like how Sylvie is kind of like not really buying Mysaria, saying like, "Oh, you're wearing that dress that costs more than what I've earned in a year," and Mysaria is trying to be like, "No, I still are concerned about the common folk. That's still my main concern." She's like, "Is it really?" Like, she's not really buying it. Which is pretty interesting. I don't know. I kind of feel like a lot of stuff Mysaria was doing that she is concerned about the common folk, but the other thing Sylvie challenges her on is like, do you really have any power, or you just like try to convince Rhaenyra what to do? And I feel like maybe that's what leads into the next scene. Next time we see her with Rhaenyra, where she's basically pulling "I told you so" when they find out that Daemon was lying to her, and Rhaenyra is still, as we talked about, still can understand that he's just trying to protect his daughter, but when Mysaria insists that, oh yeah, he deceived you, she's like, yeah, well, sure you did too, which she's correct because she didn't tell her about Helaena being pregnant. But I don't know, it's hard to say. It would be interesting to get your guys' opinion on whether or not Mysaria is intentionally just playing Rhaenyra and manipulating her, or she actually does kind of have feelings for her. Because I'm from the position that it's a mix of both. That she's not just completely like, oh, I'm going to manipulate this person to gain power, but I think that's an aspect to it. I think she does actually care about Rhaenyra and what happens to her when she does the whole thing of stroking her hair and is like, oh, it's true, you're meant to be queen, more so in this moment. And yeah, then the previous season they kissed, but yeah, they do a bit more than that this season or this episode. So which is interesting. I was thinking this is a change from the books, because in the book, Mysaria was having an affair with Daemon, and Rhaenyra was aware of it and didn't care. But now Mysaria is having an affair with Rhaenyra. Whether or not Daemon becomes aware of it is another question. There's another fucking live triangle we could have. But anyway, I don't know what Daemon's reaction would even be about it. But his main issue, I think he wouldn't like it just because he doesn't like Mysaria, because the two of them are constantly trying to poison each other with Rhaenyra. So it looks like after this big deception by Daemon that Mysaria is kind of winning that, if you see it as a contest that way. But anyway, Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
I think it's 100% manipulation. I think that she did start off in a place of really admiring and really liking Rhaenyra, and I think the kiss last season came out of a genuine place. But now she's just trying to survive. I think that when Sylvie says you're just a whore is always a whore, I think she decided she's okay, you're right, I'm just going to lean in on that. I'm just going to be a whore. Because that's a skill that I have to manipulate people. I don't. Did she enjoy it? I'm sure she did. I'm sure. She kissed her last season. But I don't think that she did that out of love or out of wanting to have sex with her or wanting to be with her. I think it was. I'm on team manipulation. That it was totally. She's feeling her power slip away, and I think Sylvie was right in a way. That I think that she still at least thinks that she cares about the small folk, but I think maybe not even she doesn't even consciously aware of how much. I think Sylvie is right, and that being in that position of power has changed her, and she more and more is also looking out for herself. This is why she doesn't tell Rhaenyra about Helaena, because Alicent was like, hey, if the Greens take over, that'll be something in your favor. And she went along with that. So that proves right there that she is looking out for herself. So I think we've seen kind of an evolution from last season where she generally did really care about the small folk most of all. She really did care about Rhaenyra and believe in Rhaenyra and really did love Rhaenyra. I think we have seen her kind of evolve into she's looking out for number one now. She's looking out for, and I don't mean William Riker, I mean herself. I think she's looking out for herself now. And that's how I see it, and I think it was absolutely manipulation. She sees her power starting to slip away, and so that's why she's like, "Oh, so see, Daemon lied to you. Look, I would never lie to you, and she hasn't told her that she lied about Helaena. So, or at least kept that information from her, a lie by omission. Um, so I really see her as looking out for herself, and that's not good for Rhaenyra, because I do think there was a time where Mysaria was Rhaenyra's possibly only loyal follower, and now I don't think Rhaenyra has any. I don't think she has any loyalty from anyone. I think Daemon legitimately wants to be loyal to her. I do believe that. That was his arc in season 2. He came to that conclusion. But now Rhaenyra doesn't trust him, so she doesn't have anyone right now, and she thinks she has Mysaria, but Mysaria at the end of the day is looking out for herself. So I don't think that ultimately this puts Rhaenyra in a good position, regardless of what the outcome of the Battle of Tumbleton ends up being next week, and whether or not Rhaenyra comes out on top or not. I think she's not in a great position.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I agree with Mark as far as it being a mix, but I think that it is a little bit more manipulative than it is her being genuine at this point. Because again, she made the deal with Alicent earlier in order to kind of like, hey, well, listen, if things go south for Rhaenyra, I'm still here. You know, um, she knew about Helaena being pregnant and killed the only other person who knew about that. That wasn't Alicent. Um, and when it came up, and Rhaenyra found out about it, it was what? Oh my god! Really? She's pregnant? Does anyone else know? So she's willing to do what she thinks she has to do in order to survive. But I do think that there's still genuine feelings for Rhaenyra, because at the end of the day, I think she sees Rhaenyra as someone who who is a good person at her core, but at the same point, may be in over her head. And it's like, well, if this all goes south, do I want to lose my head with this woman? No. So I'm going to do what I have to survive. That doesn't mean I don't care about Rhaenyra, but I'm not trying to be on the chopping block with her or anybody else.
And I just want to make it clear, I'm not implying that I think Mysaria doesn't care about Rhaenyra at all. I do think that there are still some feelings there. I just think that at this point, she's looking out for herself more than she is Rhaenyra. That doesn't mean she doesn't still have some feelings for her. I agree with you all on that. I just want to make that. I'm not saying she doesn't care about Rhaenyra at all, just to make my position clear.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. So I think that when it all boils down, Mysaria, I think, believes that Rhaenyra is a good person. She would like things to work out for Rhaenyra because, she is a woman who has clawed her way up, and even though Rhaenyra was supposed to inherit the Iron Throne, it was essentially supposed to be given to her, she's having to fight for it. And I think that, even though Mysaria has her own plans, in order, she's a survivor, right? That's what her thing is. But I still think that she respects the fact that you know, other people, someone else in this same situation might have just been like, okay, well, they got to the crown before I did, so looks like that, I'm not going to be queen. And Rhaenyra was like, no, screw that. All these people made vows to respect me and the line of succession that my father had set up, and now half of you people are fighting against me. Nah, screw that. I'm going to show you, like there's a reason why my father picked me to be his heir and not Aegon. So I think Mysaria respects that, but she's cautious enough to not rely fully on that, as being the end all be all. It's going to be interesting to see what the final outcome is going to be for her, and if any of the things that she has done that haven't been in Rhaenyra's interest are going to be exposed. Because then what happens? Like when Rhaenyra absolutely knows that, damn, I have no one I can trust.
Yep. What I find interesting is the way this episode is reiterating that Rhaenyra is like seeking validation. Like she goes to Helaena and is like, "Tell me I'm meant to be the one," and she's sort of like seeking that with Mysaria as well. It's like, am I truly meant to be? So it's showing her she's really in a crisis of faith and a crisis of doubt because she believes that she's like divine, like anointed to be the leader, and she's like, since things are falling apart, she's like seeking, tell me I'm meant to be. And Mysaria is just feeding into that, being like, oh yeah. And I believe you're right, she's doing it for her own reasons, not because she really believes that, but because she's trying to lift Rhaenyra up. So it's maybe not the best thing that she's being told what she wants to hear.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to also mention that another thing that Rhaenyra says in this episode, I believe in that same conversation, is like, finally, she's like, I've been following my father, and look what that's gotten me.
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, this is.
Yeah, because Mysaria is like, I'm just doing I'm trying to do what your father would want you to do, and that's what
which was
says.
Another way of her manipulating her. But then she was like, she's like, look where that's gotten me, because we were talking about last week where she goes, well, my father, and Daemon's like, aha, there it goes. There it is. That she now finally acknowledging that because we've been talking for weeks about how that's the dumb way to go. That she finally figuring that out. But what is she gonna do now? So that's interesting setup for next week.
All right, so let us get into Aegon, and yeah, I knew that they weren't getting to Bravos, but anyway, Aegon and
because you read the book, Mark. you read the book.
The show could have won a different way.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, it's because I'm such a genius. Yeah, no, it helped that I read the book. But anyway, but no, it's who were they? Like the something from Maidenpool?
The Muttons.
The Muttons. Okay, the Muttons.
I've watched a couple different videos that showed the scene from Game of Thrones with Tywin Lannister and Arya, and he was like, "Oh, and who is the Lords of Maidenpool?" And Arya goes, "The Muttons."
Yeah,
and that's how I remember it, because I've seen that scene like 2-3 different times.
Right. Yeah.
That I watched.
Nah, I've seen that as well. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, they're coming to. I like this that they're coming to retake Rook's Rest, and they're kind of going through the area. And at first, Tywin and Larys and Aegon try to evade them, and they go back to Rook's Rest. But then that's apparently where they're heading there anyway, and so then it becomes sort of a thing where. And they find out, oh, they're going village to village looking for Thailand. And Varys is like, or sorry, Varys, slip. Larys is like, yeah, do the honorable thing and just turn yourself in. And Thailand's like, no. Like, you're just saying that because to save your ass, not Aegon's. And I think he's right. Larys doesn't give a shit about saving Aegon. Do the honorable thing. He's like, no, and they start arguing, and then Aegon's eventually like, yeah, you guys do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here and do a final stand, which I think is like a sort of character evolution for Aegon, where he's like, fuck this shit. I'm supposed to be the king. I'm not going to like die in some hole being chased by people. If I'm going to die, I'm going to go out like in the blaze of glory, sort of similar to like Kristen Cole was thinking. And so Tylan was like, okay, if you're going to do that, I won't have it be said that I cowered from my king. And it's funny, as soon as he says that, like his sellswords just take off. I'm like, okay, fuck that. and I think that like Tylan's not like truly devoted to Aegon or doesn't like really think Aegon's a great person. It's more of, I think, exactly what he said. He doesn't want people to say that he's a coward. He doesn't want to die having it said that he abandoned his king. If he's going to go out, he also wants like good things to say about him. And Larys is like, okay, well, see you guys later. and I think when he goes to Aegon, he's like, oh, unless my king orders me to stay. But he knows full well that Aegon's not going to. That was like his little out to protect himself. Well, you see there, he didn't order me to stay, so I'm all good. And so he fucks off, and I do wonder if we will see him if he didn't go too far. But then, yeah, the Aegon and Tylan are just chilling by themselves, and the whole huge army shows up. And I like how like Aegon starts like freaking out, going, no, 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 no. And Tylan gets confused, like, wait, do you want to flee now? Like, but then he does this huge speech. And I will tell you, I did love this scene, I will say, but the part of it that was kind of on was the fact that Aegon's giving this amazing, oh, I am Aegon Targaryen, and then people are acting scared and he thinks it's him, and I'm like, yeah, this is like a TV movie trope. There's like something behind him that's actually really scaring them. And so that is the part I was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of cheesy, but it was great seeing Sunfire again. And then eventually like even Tylan like put his sword down and was like this, and yeah, at first Aegon's like, oh, they're scared of me, and then he's like, saw everyone's reaction, turn around and saw Sunfire. And this is something, yeah, as Alyssa mentioned, we talked about in the spoiler sections. We knew that eventually something was going to happen like this, where Sunfire was going to pop up and save Aegon. I think it was glorious. And then, of course, he says Dracarys, and Sunfire, you tell he's a little burnt and a bit of, messed up himself, kind of similar to what Aegon is, but he starts like burning everyone alive. And I do love it how Aegon's just like laughing maniacally, like a madman. Like, ah! It does make him come off maybe a little like a evil madman, but I totally get that we're actually kind of cheering for this, and I think that's actually the brilliance of the show. This is something I had a discussion with my dad, who was like, oh, who are the good guys and the bad guys? I'm like, there are none. Like, there's no good guys. That's like everyone. And I think the show goes out of the way to varying degrees of success of trying to take people that you think were despicable and making you understand them and actually relate to them and see it's relatable. I like a tinge. I kind of feel that way about Aemond having a shitty mother, but I think more so they were more successful with Aegon, having him really be in the dirt and have to like deal with the fact that he's going to die and then miraculously getting saved. You're actually like cheering him on and like, yes, Sunfire's still alive. It was funny because I was watching a couple episodes ago. I was watching this with like a group of people, and someone like went to me. It was when the scene where Aegon was like, petting Sunfire. It's like, you're still alive. And they asked, like, oh, well, Sunfire's dead, right? And I was like, not saying anything. They're like, he's dead, right? And I'm like, I'm not giving anything away. And they're like, oh, he's alive. I'm like, I didn't say anything. but yeah. Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah. So I saw another video where somebody asked, like, okay, they've established that there's hair dye in this world. Why did Tylan not dye his hair and shave his beard or something, like disguise himself in some way? And I kind of like, I guess what goes unsaid here is that Alan did go back and report to Rhaenyra that Tylan was still out, and then she got the word out to everybody. I guess that was an off-screen thing, so they all know that Tylan is out there. But yeah, why didn't he disguise himself in some way? But I love this scene. I totally, absolutely agree with you that I did not love that. They did the old like sitcom trope. Oh, there's somebody standing behind me, and like, oh, they're scared of me, like that. I didn't love that, but it didn't last long. It wasn't the point of the scene, and yeah, I find myself like actually cheering for Aegon, who is this horrible person. And he has done a little bit of self-reflection and like realizes that he is this horrible person. And this is the redemption arc that Daeron has been talking about. We'll see how far this goes. We'll see what happens next with Aegon. I'm kind of curious how much we'll even get of Aegon in the next episode. We may just get like one scene. I don't know that he's going to play I think he's going to play a bigger role in season 4. Than he is next week. And I do wonder about Larys, if he's going to come right back to Work's Rest and be like, oh, there you are. You have Sunfire again. I'm with you again. Or if he has left already and he's off doing his own thing. I have no idea because this is different from the book. So I generally do not know what Larys is doing. But anyway, it was a really great scene. I'm really impressed on the show's ability to get me to care about Aegon because he kind of was the worst. I don't care about Aemond at all. I do see, like, yeah, I get the mommy issues thing, and Alicent was a horrible mother, but Aemond is still a piece of shit. And now he's just a fucked up piece of shit, having crazy hallucinations, whereas Aegon probably also is still a piece of shit, but has gone through a bit of an evolution. Like as you said, Mark, his like willingness to kind of like, sacrifice himself, just be like, I'm going out in a blaze of glory, like actually caring about that kind of thing. He definitely has evolved as a character. So yeah, love to see it. Great scene. Sunfire lives. Finally, we get to see Sunfire back. I've been waiting for this all season, for Sunfire to come back. I don't really understand the how of it. There's been different theories of like they were linked and Sunfire could sense that Aegon was in trouble. I don't really care the how of it. It's not that important to me. But I'm just excited to see Sunfire back, and now Aegon's got his dragon back. So watch out, Rhaenyra.
As you can see, Lucky is liking to talk of Aegon and Sunfire. I actually really enjoyed that scene, Aegon's speech and all that. Apparently, so did Lucky, which is why he won't leave me alone right now. Thank you. But yeah, like I said, Game of Thrones, not Game of Thrones, sorry, House of the Dragon has done a great job in terms of making you feel for characters that you might not otherwise. They've done a great job of balancing the whole blacks versus greens factions. 'Cause, even people who you really shouldn't be rooting for, they found a way to give you their humanity. So they're not just douchebags unless they're Ormond Hightower or Jason Lannister. Because you know what, even Laris, right? Laris is a jerk, but he has went out of his way to protect Aegon as much as he possibly could, right? He's the guy who was willing to tell Aegon the hard truth at a time where, most people probably would have just been like, "Oh man, listen, he's already been through enough. Don't make him suffer the indignity of knowing that he's a piece of shit." um, but even though, like, yeah, it looks messed up on the surface that Laris was going to leave him to die, said, look, I'm not just up and leaving you and that's it. Like, my job is going to be, for the time being, to, make sure that people know that you didn't just die as like the guy who got burned and they caught you lacking on the side of the road. Like, no, when I tell your story, people are gonna know that you went out like a king. Now it just so happens that that Sunfire came, saved the day, and turned the tide. So Laris doesn't need to do that anymore. But the fact that Laris has been loyal to the Green faction from the beginning, right? Killed his family for it. So it's interesting to see, and I'm surprised that he didn't bring that up to Thailand. Like, do you know how much I've done for this family to make sure that this man would sit the Iron Throne?
I mean, well, he did leave Otto for Daemon, so I mean, there is that too.
Yeah, so I don't know why that, because that does.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he's hedging his bets. He's not really that loyal. He's another situation where he cares about him looking out for him.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, he is definitely about self-preservation, but his leanings, with the exception of the Otto thing, which, yeah, I don't quite understand what his play was there, because at the end of the day, Rhaenyra is never gonna accept him. I don't think Daemon would ever actually accept him either. So I don't. That was the one thing for me that I was just kind of like scratching my head about, as to like, okay, after all you've done to essentially prop up this man's grandson, you decided to turn him over to his enemies, knowing like he's a dead man. Otto was a dead man walking. So yeah, that's the one thing that I don't quite understand. But everything else, if it wasn't for him giving Aegon that talking to, Aegon doesn't stand up for himself in that last moment, to have Sunfire come and make that dramatic entrance. So, you give Laris a little bit of credit for that, but I definitely give a lot of credit to Aegon for accepting the fact that, hey, yeah, I haven't always been someone to be admired. So if I'm gonna do one thing in my life that's gonna mean something, then let it be this. So yeah, again, absolutely love that. Um, Thailand, I don't know. Thailand is such an enigma to me. I, I, I still have more that I want to see from him.
We were talking about somebody earlier, how they're like, oh, they wouldn't be willing to die for go down with this person. Like, I think, was it
Mysaria,
Mysaria?
yeah, it's Mysaria.
Yeah, but Thailand is. He was willing to die and go down with Aegon. But again, probably for his own selfish reasons, but
Right.
still.
I mean, and that's why, like, when you think about the whole Laris situation, Laris is like, look, I, I've done what I can, but I'm not about to just die just because, especially because I don't know how to fight.
Well, no, that was just an excuse. He's all about number one, looking out for number one for sure. All right, so let's move over finally to the final scene with Ormond and Ulf, which I'm sure, read the book or not, this surprised no one. Um, just yeah, it was interesting though because they kept referencing other times, like, oh, last time we talked, so it's clear this had been going on off screen, which is what of course Ormond was referring to earlier about the piece on the board. But he's full on, like, he's like really like I think Ormond knows how to manipulate people. He's really like, oh well, everyone should enjoy their drinks and has a right to go out. How dare they stop you from doing that? And oh my god, they just treat you like shit. They just think you're a piece on the board, but I am going to make you a lord. And at first he said honey holt, which I don't know if that means that they actually attacked the Beastberries in the books they did, but yeah. But regardless, it's like we'll take it over if they're still there. But he's like, Honey Holt, oh no, I'll give you Driftmark. You can be Lord of the Ties. Really like feeding and eating up his ego, and it's funny because he was like in there like, oh, they won't be laughing at you anymore, and he's like, no, they're gonna burn. So to see a bit of like, yeah, like like a bit of an evil streak in Ulf. But we've been talking about this even in our non-spoiler section, that what the fuck is Daemon and Rhaenyra doing? Like, they should have realized, like, maybe not treat someone with a big ass fucking dragon weapon of mass destruction like shit. Maybe like appease them a little bit more than just being like, oh, you're a knight. And it's funny because that's why I think that scene at the start of the season was actually important, when he was like, what good is a knight? Am I going to get a castle? A horse? What the fuck would I want with a horse? I got a dragon. And so it was like making it clear. Now, we also know from an earlier episode, Ormond was talking about, oh, the worst kind of person is like a lowborn who works their way up to become powerful. So it's clear that he actually has really no respect for Ulf whatsoever. And because it's funny, he's like, oh, they're just using you, but he's totally doing the same, just using him. Now, whether or not he would actually deliver on this lordship, maybe it would suit him at the situation. They still require a dragon. But yeah, that's very interesting. I do wonder, like, if Ulf's dragon was nearby. I was kind of looking for it because I was thinking, like, how would he trust that they wouldn't just kill him if they went to meet with him? But I suppose if his dragon was nearby, that would be deterrent enough for them to try to move on him. But anyway, Don, we'll start with you on this one.
Hey, what's the point of having a dragon if it ain't no one around the city, eh? Plus, I got beer now. Take that, Rhaenyra. So, yeah, listen, you know what? Again, with the way that this man has been treated, I don't. It doesn't surprise me. I was about to say I don't blame him, but no. It does surprise me. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Because at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, there is a part of everyone here that probably saw the scene in King's Landing with Daemon, kicking him down and pushing him into the mud and all, and just the way that they've been treated generally from Jace. Jacaerys didn't treat him very nicely. Uh, you know, he's basically being used as a tool, and it's like, okay, so my only mission in life essentially is to get you on the Iron Throne, and then what? You know, like, I'm a Targaryen and I don't even get to claim the name, and you're essentially only using me for the fact that I was able to bond with this dragon. And okay, well, I'm not promised to be a lord or anything. All I got was a dragon, and it's like those T-shirts. It's like you know, all, almost killed myself, and all I got was a stupid dragon. It's like, so I get it. Rhaenyra, this is just another way that that they're showing Rhaenyra being short-sighted, and the fact that like the fact that he's been having talks probably at this point for weeks with with Ulf. Oh yeah, now listen, come buddy. Heard you weren't able to get in the ale. We have the finest ale from the Reach, right from Old Town. You know how Old Town is, and we've been brewing this kind of beer for the past 3,000 years. Come on, buddy, come home. It's just like all you had to tell me was beer. Oh, so while I feel bad for Rhaenyra that there's no one that she can trust, in this particular instance, she kind of did it to herself. And Daemon, like, it's hard to figure out like exactly why he was such a jerk to Ulf. I understand, like, yes, you like you are in service to the crown. Got to do what the queen says, but also I just feel like in that moment, Daemon should have been a little more lenient towards him, especially given the fact that he's got they have whatever issues they have going on in King's Landing, to the point where Daemon had to go out and do his own investigation and essentially masquerade as a gold cloak. Whereas, hey, Ulf has been told basically your entire life, all you get to do is you stay in the Red Keep, and when I call you, you go to Templeton. And then when Hugh comes to relieve you, you come back to the Red Keep. I don't get to do anything else with my life? Well, first off, it's not your life, it's the Crown's life. I had a life before, yeah. You had a life before, and then you were able to claim a dragon, so now your life is my life. Huh. I don't get to take the name Targaryen. I don't get a castle. I don't even get made a lord. I get made just a knight. I don't get to socialize with anybody. And then when I'm on my mission, it's me. I go fly over a small town, and then go back to a hill to I go back to a hill to sleep on. Yeah, Ormond had a way in from day one. And the fact that Rhaenyra just didn't even consider that, it seems, mind-blowing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ormond was way smarter than Daemon and Rhaenyra. Like he knows how to manipulate. He knows how to talk to Ulf. Like they also like look down on Daemon, especially. I think someone mentioned in the chat. Daemon especially looks down on commoners, but they could at least pretend. They could at least placate him. They could at least be like, "Oh, once this war is over, we're gonna give you all these castles, and you're gonna be a lord." It's like. Lie to him, lie to him like Ormond did, and when they don't want it, it makes sense that they don't want him to put himself at risk by getting drunk at bars because he's a precious dragon rider. But it could be like, oh, so you're too valuable right now to go drink at bars, but don't worry, once you're a lord, you'll have all the beer you can drink. You can invite all of your friends over, like. I don't know, puff him up like the way that Ormond does. But Daemon and Rhaenyra they're not good at that. That's not what they do. That's what Ormond is good at. And that's why Ormond has Ulf on his side now, because he's better at lying and better at pretending to care about Ulf. Based on what he has said, like you mentioned before, Mark, how he was talking about how much he just loathes the lowborn, and the lowborn that come up and find their way up to being a lord. Those are the worst. Like, so he absolutely loathes Ulf. So I have no doubt in my mind that Ormond doesn't have the slightest intention of giving him Honeyhold, the Driftmark, or anything. I think that what his plan would be, he would just pull a 24 and be like, where's my lordship? I got your lordship right here. Or in this case, it's not 24. They don't have machine guns. It would be like he'd get his men to chop.
Cut him here's down. The thing. I think that Ormond would give him a lordship as long as he needed the dragon. The moment he didn't need that dragon anymore.
Yeah. Well, Ormond also detests dragons too, so I think he would try to be rid of the dragon as soon as possible.
I mean, he does realize that you need dragons. That's what.
But I don't think he would. I think he would do what I was saying Rhaenyra should have done. Like, oh, as soon as this is all done, as soon as we do this next thing, you'll get a lordship.
Yeah.
He detests lowborn so much. I can't imagine he would actually go as far as to get lordship. He continue to promise it to him until it's time to like. And they would kill him when he's drunk at a bar. They wouldn't kill him while he's near his dragon, obviously.
But actually,
like when he's drunk at a bar, we're going to kill him now, and that would be the end of him. I can't imagine Ormond, the way he detests lowborn, actually going through with giving a lowborn lordship. He would never do that.
This is my thought, and I could be wrong, but he also despises Targaryens. So I could see him making Ulf like a Targaryen just to like spit on the family and just to like destroy it and
but that's not what he promised. He promised him a lordship at Driftmark, which I don't think he would ever give in a million years. I think that they would just like wait till he's drunk at a bar and kill him, like when he's away from
once they don't, as soon as they don't need them anymore, like once Rhaenyra's conquered and they don't have to worry about their dragons.
And Rhaenyra, I don't think that Rhaenyra would do that, though. I don't think Rhaenyra would actually kill Ulf. But I mean, I still think that she could promise all of these things until the war was over. At the very least, like butter him up, do something like. But that's not anything Rhaenyra and Daemon are ever going to do. That's not their forte. But that's or much better manipulator than they are.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I don't think that Rhaenyra would want to manipulate. Yeah, I don't think she would want to manipulate Ulf, which is why she hasn't even tried. So like,
yeah,
look,
which is why she lost Ulf to Ormund because that's why Ulf is on Ormund's side now because she's not a manipulator, and in that case, it would have been to her advantage if she was, but she's not.
Well, I saw this meme online that said Ormond is the only one good at playing Game of Thrones in the show. Like he's the only one actually playing Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but he got lucky that he didn't get. I mentioned this before. Like he got super lucky that Gwayne just happened to be there to spot the fake Baratheons because he was dead. He was dead. So he's not infallible. Like I don't think he's like a Tywin Lannister or anything like that. Like he's not playing 3D chess. He is compared to all the other characters, he's probably the best at playing the Game of Thrones. Maybe you could say Larys has been pretty good at it. I don't know. But he probably is the best. But compared to like some of the like Tywin Lannister, he's not. Like because he would be dead if he didn't happen to be super lucky that Gwayne happened to be there and recognize that those assassins were, or that the so-called Baratheons were really assassins.
All right. So we'll wrap it up for our spoiler-free section. So anyone out there watching who has not read the books and do not want to be spoiled, now's the time to skedaddle. Thank you so much for everyone for joining, and hope you subscribe to Enchantment of Eternity, and we'll see you next time. Everyone else who is sticking around for spoiler section, spoilers will begin now. So I want to start with Helaena and the theories on what these dreams might be, because part of me was wondering if the show is going to change her death so that she dies in the dragon pit with Dreamfire, but then I'm thinking, I thought the alternate future thing, and that's just like if she had been with her dragon the entire time, that's how she would have died. But since she wasn't really a dragon rider, that's not how she's going to die in the actual. But I believe what we're seeing is the storming of the dragon pits, and they're definitely foreshadowing that. But I think in the actual show, Dreamfire will be alone, like she was in the books.
Yeah, I think so too. And here's my theory, and I don't know if it's something that the show would ever definitively prove or not, or so I don't know if this is true, but this is the way that I read those visions. I think that she is getting the message from whatever is giving her those visions. I think that's going to lead her to kill herself, because I think it's telling her she doesn't belong. I think the whole thing about her with her kids and the chickens in this happy scenario, and then the eclipse comes, and then there's winter coming. I think I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, that represents the long night." I don't know if it does or not, but it certainly is. I mean, it's given those vibes. At the very least, it is telling her that she doesn't get to have this happy ending with the chickens and her kids. That's not something that is for her. It's not going to happen. And that also, if she is still alive when the dragon pits are rushed, this is what she's going to have to do. And she has stated she doesn't want to become that person. And the dragons change you, and she doesn't want to be that person. So I think that her visions are telling her she's going to have to kill herself. I think it's leading her in that direction. I think that's going to happen next week. Because I think that she's realizing she's not going to get what she wants with her kids. She's not allowed to have that. And if she's still alive, she's going to turn into the thing she doesn't want to be, which is a dragon rider who's killing a bunch of innocent people. So I think she's going to off herself. That's what I think is going to happen.
Oh, and yeah, one of her visions, it was like Rhaenyra taking her baby away from her.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I was going to mention, I forgot to mention this when you brought it up before. I definitely did not think that it was the Rhaenyra's mother scene because of the baby was taken away by the guard. So I think like she sees her baby's just going to be taken away by the Queen's Guard. She's not going to get the life she wants, and if she is still alive, she's going to kill innocent people. So she's going to be like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." Like, so I think the visions are that's what they're telling. Like, you're not getting your happy life, and these are the things that will happen. And she's like, "No, fuck this." I think that's what's going to happen. I think Malar is never going to be born on the show. That's my theory.
100% agree. I'm thinking that when it comes to the show, they're going to diverge. I mean, it's one of the butterfly effects that George was talking about. So yes, she is going to commit suicide. It's going to be for a totally different reason. I think, given the way that they have set things up, it makes sense. Given the way that things have been set up, it makes sense. But otherwise, I understand, George, in terms of, why he wasn't with the changes that have been made. But again, this still makes a lot more sense than other things that have happened, such as Alicent going to Harrenhal. So I'll take it.
Yeah, because I was thinking that it was the way they established Helaena in the show made her a different character, that she wouldn't like just be super depressed and kill herself. But I feel like what you're saying, Alyssa, makes sense, that these dreams are leading it into it, and it will make sense when she does.
Yeah, and they've made her, like I keep saying it, this season they've made her into a much better character than she even was in the books, and a much better character than she's been in the first two seasons. And now you actually, when she does kill herself, people are going to be sad about it. Like it's going to be, it's going to be a pretty heartbreaking scene. And I think the show's done a really good job with Helaena. And I think Future Boy OG says in the chat, the visions represent her choices: stay and take the baby, flee in the long night comes, fight and become a killer, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's not exactly what I said, but I think it's in that realm. Like I do think that I do think it's something like that. I think the dreams are going to push her forward to doing what she's doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about it that way. That if she flees, then that's not what she's meant to do, and then bad things will happen because.
Yeah, that's what I said too. But I don't know that the long night. I don't think like her fleeing is somehow going to make the long night happen to her earlier. But I think the message is like, this is going to be bad. Like this is not. You can't do this. Yeah.
So, I want to move on to Rhaenyra. I'm kind of thinking that Sheep Stealer is going to appear again. That it's going to be like maybe a Sunfire thing where Rhaenyra is like in trouble, and then Sheep Stealer pops up and saves her.
But I feel like for the future of Westeros, I feel like mourning is kind of important. I feel like my thinking is they got to put her back on track now to actually get mourning now. The Sheep Stealer is going to be out of the picture, so she can now get mourning. Like,
isn't it like established in lore that writers can have like more than one dragon? Like if a dragon dies, you don't get another.
I mean, yeah, but this was a wild dragon. They can kind of fudge that a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like because Morning is the last dragon that is born, except for I guess there's one years later that a weak dragon that's born and dies immediately or something. But like it's basically the last like real dragon that's born. I think Morning's pretty important. I feel like Morning should still be a part of the show. And so I think that they should go in that direction. I don't know what to, and they can just, yeah, they can fudge the, well, I mean, they can use it. Well, it was a wild dragon, so it's not the same thing. Or something.
I mean, they could also change it by having Morning be someone else's dragon.
Yeah, they could. I feel like now that she's back in the Red Keep and she's all cleaned up now, and to me it seems like, and Baela's forgiving her, and she's with Baela. I feel like I don't see her going back to Sheepstealer. I don't think Sheepstealer is dead necessarily, but
here's the thing: like it's like a Chekhov's gun situation. Like if the fact that Sheepstealer didn't die makes me think that.
Yeah, but Sheepstealer could play a different role. He could show up at the battle and just start wreaking havoc. He could do other things.
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like that storyline should be wrapped up because in the book, Nettles just disappears with Sheepstealer, and Sheepstealer's gone out of the story. So I feel like Sheepstealer needs to be gone.
Future Boy saying Daenerys had 3. I mean, not really. Like she was bonded to Drogon.
Yeah.
And then the other one was bonded to Jon Snow, and then the other one was bonded to the Night King after they died or whatever. But this is bullshit.
But all 3 of them did like kind of listen to her though.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I think she only ever rode Drogon, if I remember.
Yeah. I think she only ever rode Drogon. Yeah. Yeah. There's another thing I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to see.
So did you have any thoughts, Don, about Rhaenyra?
I think it's interesting, what they're doing with the story. Them merging the characters the way they did. I don't know. I hope they give her some more character development because it doesn't really seem that she had much to do up until this point.
I think she had more to do than her book counterpart. Like I think her book counterpart was just chilling in the Vale the whole time.
No. Well, hold on. Yes, she was in the Vale with Joffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in the Vale with Joffrey most of that time. I mean, they had to give her something to do, so they did. But it's still, like, only recently has she really been a character. Honestly speaking. Before this, it was just like, okay, I don't have a dragon. I want a dragon. How come I don't have a dragon? I don't have a dragon now. So they gave something interesting to do.
Yeah, they presented it like a monkey's paw situation where she got what she wished for, but it ruined her life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. Like, are they going to align her more with the book character now that, Sheepstealer shouldn't be a thing anymore? But still, the question is, how did you leave your little brothers?
Yeah, are we going to get any word on them this season, or are they just going to...
I'm starting to think that it's not going to happen until next season.
Yeah. As Ryan Condal has said, don't worry, we haven't forgot about them. We just had to change things, blah, blah, blah. But they'll be back. So I don't know what the plan is. We might not find out until next year.
Because young Aegon needs to be there at the Dragon Pits.
He needs to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Alyssa, what did you want to move on?
This is actually the first thing I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
We had left off with Ulf, so I wanted to talk about Hugh. What is the plan for Hugh? Because so for a moment, I actually considered, what if, is the show really going to only have Ulf turn and not Hugh? But no, I don't think the show would change that much.
Yeah.
But at this point, we have only seen Ulf turn. So, and Mark, we've been talking about this all season, but now I'm perplexed more than ever, like what exactly they're going to do to get Hugh to now join Ulf to go on his side, because he's a totally different character than he is in the book. Like in the book, in the book, it was as obvious that Hugh was going to turn as it is.
Yeah.
But it's not as obvious because he hasn't been, he has been politely asking Rhaenyra for a house and all that, and Rhaenyra's been like, yeah, I'll give it. She's handled Hugh a little bit better. She's been like, we'll get it to you. Don't worry, I'm just really busy right now. We'll get to it. And so he doesn't have that same kind of motivation that Ulf has. So I do think that they are still going to have. They still have to have Hugh turn as well. They couldn't not have him turn. So how? What's gonna happen? Any ideas?
No. Like I was considering for a second that too, that maybe he doesn't turn, but he has to. Like I don't think it would really make sense.
Yeah, what are they gonna do with him if he doesn't turn? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And like part of the thing is that they they have to have those dragons.
Yeah. I'm wondering as well, because like what is going to be his motivation, because at this point Ormond Hightower has essentially kind of made his life a living hell by making his wife's life a living hell. So, like, why am I now going to join your side when, my wife won't even speak to me now because you killed her brother after one of your men tried to rape her?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've been talking about a 24, which is where Ormond sort of just threatens her life and be like, do what I say or I'll kill your wife. I don't know. I think that's still on the table.
Yeah. I heard one theory that he's going to somehow blame Rhaenyra for his wife turning against him, and but I don't see that. I don't know.
They better not do something stupid, because that would make absolutely no sense, because again, it's not like Rhaenyra forced him to go to Dragonstone, claim a dragon, etc., etc. His wife said that she didn't want that before he left.
Yeah.
And Hugh wouldn't be as easy to manipulate as Ulf.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will also say, though, I don't think he necessarily... I don't know if he knows about Ormond killing... And I think she just told him her brother was dead. Like, I don't know if he knows all the details that they tried to rape her and then they killed.
Well, she did say that you don't know what it's like on the road and what I've had to deal with even to get here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of implies, especially, because she was like, you don't know what it's like for a woman. It was like, kind of implies, men have tried and may have possibly have taken liberties, against her will. So,
all right. Well, here's a theory. I just thought of something. What if Ulf turns and it becomes a dragon battle, and like Damon's kind of like, fuck it, let's just burn Tumbleton. He starts like they start attacking that, and then that's why Hugh turns, because they start attacking Tumbleton.
Oh, so I had kind of had this idea that Ulf was going to start attacking Tumbleton and pretend that he's still on Rhaenyra's side, and like so Rhaenyra would be blamed, and like so Ulf would just start burning. But maybe not. That's just a thing I made up. so you might be right.
I hope it's resolved in the next episode.
It has to be.
Another thing I wanted to say from our last discussion, I talked about how Ormond has to survive because he did in the book, but I went and reread the book and found out that Ormond actually dies in this battle. I had totally forgotten about it. He's killed by Roddy the Ruin. So I wonder if they'll keep that. I kind of think they will, but part of me thinks, oh, maybe they like this character so much they'll keep him around for another season.
I think his story arc needs to end this season. I think, and I was saying, even if he did die in the book later, I think it would make sense to kill him off at the end of the season. And knowing that he does die in the book at this point, I think they have to kill him. I think that needs to be a conclusion. Because now we can then move on to our season 4 storylines, which don't involve Ormond at all. So I think we need to kill him off here, and I would love to see Roddy the Ruin still be the one to do it.
Yeah, and also like part of what happens afterwards in Tumbleton is that the High Tower group falls in disarray and they get disorganized, and it seems like Ormond dying will have to happen for that to happen.
Yeah. And I think that I picture, I don't know, he's in the trailer, they were like, you're ready to die for your queen, and Roddy Ruin was like, I can't fucking wait. And that's like the whole point of them coming down there was to die. So I could see it being a thing where like he gets stabbed and he's on the ground and but he just jumps up and like kills Ormond and then dies or something like that. Like it's his last thing he does before he dies. Like I see something like that happening.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. All right. Do any last words, or we want to go ahead and end this discussion here?
Yeah, I'm good. I think we can.
Okay, cool. So thanks everyone for joining. Be sure to check us back next week. Don, thank you so much for joining on short notice. Are you doing anything with your YouTube channel you want to plug or anything?
Not yet, but you know what? Given the rise of AI and you know how easy it is to make some of these videos, I may bring back Epic Battles of Ice and Fire 2.0. Make them even more epic now. So yeah, if that happens, you know, you will be the first to know. And you know, who knows? Maybe if you guys wind up doing like a season wrap up or something like that, if you invite me, I'll be back, and maybe with some footage or something.
Cool, yeah, absolutely. And Alyssa, I guess people can follow you on Facebook.
People can follow me on Facebook. Yeah, you reminded me. I forgot to mention that last week. I still go to Alyssa Jean's reviews on Facebook, and I make comments about shows that I'm watching. I don't do videos anymore, but I've been making comments about X-Men 97 and about Silo, and doing pretty full reviews of Strange New Worlds, but written on my Facebook page, not any videos. So if you want to hear my thoughts on things, you can follow me over on Facebook at Alyssa Jean's Reviews.
Yep, and of course you can find me here on Enchantment of Eternity, be wrapping up the coverage of House of the Dragon, and then getting back to Star Trek, covering Strange New Worlds and going through every fucking episode of Star Trek. So you can check out my channel for that. Thanks so much for joining, and see you next time.